Hey everyone, this is Manog.
This is Nikki S.
Yo, what's up? This is Volkeen.
Hi, this is Man Max.
Hey, this is Star Lab.
Hi there, Megapixel here.
Hey guys, this is Crooks.
Hey, this is Zone Tempest.
Hey, this is Luna.
Hi guys, this is Effective.
Hey, this is Mechanica.
Hey guys, this is Neuronix.
Hey, I'm Miss Jade.
Hey, this is Ace Ventura, and you're in the Psyence Lab.
In the Psyence Lab.
You're in the Psyence Lab.
You're in the Psyence Lab with James Corbett.
With James Corbett.
With James Corbett.
James Corbett.
Hello and welcome to the third episode of Psyence Lab. I am your host, James Corbett, and in this show I have two very special guests joining me for some deep, insightful discussion and a little bit of funny stories as well. So first off the ranks, we have Billy Lockyer, who is the arts manager for Esoteric, co-founder of Triniq, which is a ticketing platform, freelance marketing and event management specialist guru, basically. So we have a lot to cover, talking about the arts management side of things at Esoteric Festival, as well as some other inside scoops and insights into what it's like running events behind the scenes, the stuff that the public doesn't see. So very, very insightful chat there. We'll be spreading that out over the show in 10-minute segments. Then later on, the special international guest is Nikki S, label artist on United Beats Records and a very dear friend of mine, all-round legend. So we're going to catch up around what has she been up to in the last year, what is this upcoming year looking at for her, and obviously talk of a lot of other stuff to do with music. Obviously, we have a lot of new releases to get to as well, so right now, Outsiders and Ritmo, Breaking Silence, Iboga Records.
You're in the Psyence Lab with James Corbett.
Circumstance, this civilization would have exhausted the energy supply of their home planet.
absolute stomper of a tune there is Phenomenal's new release, We Are the Ancient Ones, out now on Phantom Unit. He is a very, very solid producer coming out of Melbourne. I think you want to keep your eye on him. Speaking of people from Melbourne, I do have Billy Lockyer with me now. So we're going to jump into our first segment, having a bit of an intro and a bit of a spiel on the adventure of coming out of esoteric and into the world of COVID. Welcome to the Psyence Lab, Billy Lockyer, Arts Manager of Esoteric, co-founder of Triniq, and freelance marketing and event management specialist. There's quite a few strings to your bow there. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. How are you?
Yeah, good. Look, thanks for coming on for the show. I understand you are an exceptionally busy man, as your job titles do describe.
Yeah, there's a few of them. It's a bit of a tongue twister, but, got there all right.
So, look, obviously the last year's been pretty crazy, without dwelling too much on the COVID business, because it is, obviously quite a hot topic at the moment. You've still managed to actually be, pretty busy with a few different tasks with upcoming festivals and your ticketing platform as well. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. Anyone who was tuned into Esoteric, they didn't really have that issue where everything completely stopped, because they got the green light to kind of move forward and try and go for the March date, which, as we know, that's it's this weekend down here in Victoria. So I guess we didn't actually know until about a month ago that wasn't going to happen. It came really close, and there was conditions where it could have happened, but probably would have been against kind of like the general vibe and ethos of how the festival should be, from an experience point of view. So we were pretty busy planning that, and during the times where there wasn't lockdowns, which was a fair bit more down here in Victoria compared to where you guys are at. But whenever there was like a weekend or something, we'd be straight up and down from site, like preparing the site and getting things ready, and just the general planning, and that happens day to day. So that was happening, and then there was a whole range of other people who were just in the background during lockdown preparing for their next events, and obviously there was interstate organisers who were a little bit further than Victoria, who were a little bit ahead of us, who I was working with as well. So there was lots going on even last year. I know that wasn't the case for a lot of the event industry, as you know that a lot of people got hit pretty hard with that, and it kind of really messed around with a lot of people, so
I guess Esoteric was pretty I guess in one way lucky in terms of the timing of the event. It was the last big event just before the COVID pandemic really hit Australia and locked everything down, so to speak.
Basically the week that lockdown started is when Esoteric finished, and I remember it was it's really dystopian a little bit, because we were working on site for like 3-4 weeks and hadn't really seen civilization in a while, only the whole festival landscape, and then you hear a few memes and jokes and stuff of what's happening back in Melbourne, and then I got back to Melbourne, and you go to do your shop not knowing what's going on, and everyone's looking at you like you're panic buying because you got absolutely nothing in your house after being away for a month. And it's you get the stare downs from, you
just happen to need 10 packets of toilet rolls.
Actually, fortunately I got given a bag full on the way out from site, so I didn't really have that problem, because someone was thinking of me ahead of time. But just in general, like it was a little bit weird coming back, not even realizing that was a thing, and then basically being locked down. But after being on site, living in a tent for 4 weeks, you kind of ready for a couple of week lockdown. But it probably didn't sink in for about a good couple of weeks until after that. So that was kind of what my last year was like. It was still pretty busy, but there's I think that coming out of it all this year and beyond, it's going to be busy for everyone in the industry because there's obviously restrictions on venues, and that's going to probably mean more events, because there's going to need to be for everyone to be able to go and have a bit of fun. So I guess that there's something to look forward to at the end of the tunnel there,
Yeah, absolutely. I keep calling it a renaissance. I think that's what we're going to be in for. As soon as we're all out and we can be free and just party as we used to. Things are going to be pretty crazy.
That's right.
I hope so.
We even saw up in Queensland. I wasn't involved in this one so much, but I know some of the organisers from it. Elements Festival, that obviously went ahead. And it seemed to go quite well from in terms of they didn't get shut down or stopped and I hear a lot of people had a pretty fun time there. So it looked good in the videos. I don't know if you saw some.
Yeah, it really did, and obviously have a few friends that played there and had an absolute ball. I guess being the first festival that really took off after, in Australia after the lockdown, and I keep saying lockdown, after the bulk part of the pandemic. I guess everyone was ready, absolutely ready for it.
I'm pretty interested to see how that festival evolves over time. It could be there for a while if they keep doing good things, and improving.
Yeah, I think so too. They're definitely the production and the quality of the acts that are coming through that festival are definitely top caliber. So yeah, definitely 100% looking forward to seeing how that evolves as well.
And it's not just that; it's that Queensland industry in general. They kind of were the first to come back pretty fast, and now you've got all of them kind of coming back. You've got Oronea and I think the others are coming back, like Happy Days and Mushroom Valley and all of those. I know that Tropical Bloom also mentioned that they're coming back for 2022, which is nice to hear. So there's a lot happening over there, and as we know, Earth Freak kind of postponed for this one, but I think they're going to be back this year with whatever they kind of had planned previously. So yeah, it's kind of thriving up there a little bit and kind of looking good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I guess you just mentioned there with I guess the postponing of Earth Frequency. Do you think, and I guess from your experience as well with Esoteric, when you're postponing an event and you know you've got an extra length of time, does that actually afford you a bit more, creative freedom to sort of maybe plan some of the things that you might not have been able to do previously due to time restraints? Like, have you got more time to sort of help I guess the infrastructure, the arts development, the everything that you want to do, let that flourish and evolve into something else?
Yeah, definitely. You do have more time to do a few extra things that you wanted to do, but kind of we're running out of time on. Noticed that with the Esoteric Arts Department, and because it's a lot of work, so having that extra few months is great. But then the second thing dawns on you is that you might get time on this one, but then you're actually much closer to the next one after that. So on one hand you get more time, but on the other hand you kind of realize you're actually double handling and dealing with two festivals at once, because it's kind of moved into the time that you would normally spend to work on the next one. The other side of it is all the back-end planning, like all the art stuff, all the operation stuff that happens with the rest of the team, all the acts being selected and logistics, and all the site management that kind of goes into planning a festival, especially of that scale. You have to be spending about at least 10 months on that project each time. So yeah, we're already starting to think about like 2022 March, and we'll probably actually be starting to work on it in at least another 2 months, whilst we're trying to deal with the rest of the current one. I guess the benefit is that we've kind of already finished much of the one that was supposed to run this weekend, because we were planning towards that. So yeah, it's just tight. But I guess it depends on how long you've been working in the industry and how long you've been doing those roles, because as you know, there's a lot of people who work multiple festivals. So for those people, they're used to having like one festival after another. Like I've got like two Cans ones coming up over winter. One's called Nick's Festival, that's going to be in June, and then another one in I think it's late August, called Oronea, which I think people are probably more familiar with Oronea because it's been around for about 4 or 5 years and stuff. But when you're doing them back to back, you kind of get in that flow of just ready for the next one and planning before the current one is happening. So it can leave you quite busy, as you could imagine.
We'll get back to Billy after another couple of tunes. This one up now, Gaudium's release 2020. I don't know where he got the inspiration for this track from. I have absolutely no idea. Out now on Iboga Records. Check it out.
Hey, this is Zone Tempest. Welcome to the Psyence Lab.
states are a very important part of humanity's development, and you see this in non-Western cultures today. They are at the birth of all religions. So these experiences can be wholly positive for personal growth and development, community cohesion, and bringing people together.
Zone Tempest there with his new release, New World, out on Yellow Sunshine Explosion. Another Aussie artist doing amazing things, and also coming from Melbourne as well, actually. We're going to jump in with Billy again now to talk about what is upcoming in the arts department for Esoteric Festival. Let's see what he has to say.
Now, I guess we understand you probably can't give too much away, because there's, you want to have the element of surprise. But in the realms of the arts department at Esoteric, what inside scoop can you give on what we can expect for this year's event?
Yeah, I can give away a little bit of stuff. I mean, we've announced a little bit of it so far. I mean, something that when I first started the arts department in Esoteric, there was no arts department. So one of the first things that we kind of put in there was the art gallery, which is like a permanent fixture, which hopefully you'll see at the next one, James. So it's a little bit unique. It's not in just like a geodome or a marquee or anything like that. Like it's been designed just to be an art gallery and stuff. So we'll continue bringing much more international art through that. And I guess one of the things I can kind of mention is that just recently, I don't know if you know Steve Lightwizard or not, but he works closely with me with the gallery side of things. It's kind of like a team leader who deals with that stuff, like the content in each of the artists. And between us both, we've kind of worked up a collaboration with Art Collider. And Art Collider is this, it's like an international art collective. If you would have been to like a lot of the festivals overseas, and I think Art Collider runs maybe the sci-fi one. And they don't do the Azora one, but they are definitely in the Azora one. And they definitely ran the Modem one in 2019 as well. So they kind of run galleries, but then they also have all of their artworks being put in all the major festivals over in Europe. And we've just struck this collab thing going with them, and they're sending a whole bunch of international art over to us, and it's actually already landed a couple of weeks ago because we were preparing for it to be for this weekend. So I think this year we've got somewhere between 15 to 20 international art pieces, and then the rest will be made up of locals. So when you think of that, that's about like 80 meters worth of hanging art on walls, maybe a little bit more. So we'll probably have to build some more walls and make the gallery a little bit bigger, which it gets bigger every year. I mean, you'll see it's not just 80 meters of hanging art. We've got another 80 to 100 meters of mural walls inside this, which we pick lots of local artists to come and do up either during the festival or just before. And I think one in particular of the murals that I'm kind of interested to see is Rob Max. He's do you know who Rob Mack is?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Who doesn't?
Good. So he's going to do I think it was a 4 meter mural. It was like a 2 to 4 meter mural on one of those mural walls. So pretty excited to see that, because he's always hung his art inside the gallery, but we've never had him do one of his massive pieces on a mural, which is these murals, they're not like just boards, they're kind of like jagged and shaped and stuff. So we kind of get the artist to explore a little bit more. So I'm pretty interested to see how he'll go. And then of course we've got a lot of others that are pretty well known in that community. And I mean, if you just go on, I guess the Esoteric site's art page or even their Facebook page and take a look at what they do in the gallery, it's pretty impressive. Like I know that Steve's pretty particular with who he lets in there. And I guess the other thing that we can kind of talk about is that we're extending the live installation part of the gallery, because we've always had Steve Lightwizard do he calls it Live Wizard. It's like this, he does what he does with his art pieces, but in a live setting. And I don't know if you've ever seen it before or not, but he has like all these bits and pieces. Like he just collects stuff, all different colors, all different materials, and then he puts them in arrangements and takes photos of them, and then he turns them into art pieces, and also all kinds of clothing and banners. And I know that he just released a range of hats with he collabed with, what was it, Grassroots from California. It's a big brand over there for hats, and I think they might even be hemp hats or something. I can't remember off the top of my head, but check them out. There's pretty interesting stuff, but the hats look super cool. They're like all of his art on it, and when you actually know how he's built it or seen it like live, it's actually pretty impressive. So we're building a full area that's just off the gallery, that's this new live installation area, and he's not the only one in there this year. We've got AJ. You can put, I think it's AJ Art straight into Google and you'll find him. AJ Art is his Facebook handle as well. So he does virtual augmented reality art. So he's got his devices in. So we'll have like a big screen out there, and each night people can just kind of rock up and see what's going on, and he will draw like this full 3D digital art with his VR goggles, and you can just watch it on the screen, watch him design it. He's got videos of what he does, so we're going to have that in its own little area, and yeah, that's something new that's kind of coming to ESO, at least in the art gallery thing. I mean, this is just the art gallery alone. We're actually expanding it in different ways as well this year, which that part we won't talk about quite yet. It hasn't been announced and don't know what it will be, but it has something to do with the High Council of Shangri-La, the Treasure Quest guys, where we're going to do something special just off the gallery with them. So that's already been in planning, but it's pretty impressive. They've got that kind of that different quirky vibe, which is cool. And I just remember their space. They ended up making, I think it would have been at least 40 by 40 meters, like almost that big. It was like I guess you call it their headquarters or something, and that had all these doors that led into different sections, and there were some things where you would actually get clues from around the festival, and it would tell you what keys to put in this piano or something, and it would unlock like a door and go into secret compartments and stuff. It was crazy stuff, but you could only know where to go if you went all the way through the festival and checked out all the clues and did each quest, because they have all these different quest lines that go from one part of the festival to another, and you'd know about them because you'd read the guide, and the guide would give them the clues to go on it. And I saw people going through it, and they actually told me that it was pretty hard, like, but it didn't stop them. But it wasn't like one of those just simple things. Like you had to have a good go at it.
It's a good challenge.
It was a real mission.
Yeah, it's good to have like another level, like another depth to a festival that's complementing, I guess, the music aspect. It definitely seems like Esoteric has obviously got, you've been working on, the arts focus to the point where it sounds like it's pretty much on par getting there with like the likes of Azora in Hungary. I remember we were obviously at that festival together and seeing what was it? How many stories is their art gallery? Like four stories, and then
it's 4 stories, that one, and it's pretty crazy, isn't it? I mean, that's probably the best gallery you'll see at a festival anywhere, I think.
I guess privy to the fact that when you get to the top, you can look over the whole festival and see the maze of cornfields to the, if I remember, the right hand side, and you can just it's breathtaking. It's one festival I just whenever I talk about it, I want to be there.
And I guess if you look a little bit closer into the actual art that they're displaying inside that gallery, obviously they have a lot of the Art Collider art, which we kind of spoke about before, but they also have like they have big names from all over the world in there. And even the last time I went to Azora, which was 2019, did another round there, they'd put like a secondary gallery outside the gallery. It was like a pop-up gallery. It was so it just keeps getting bigger, that one. So it's pretty cool. So we did have more of that kind of organic vibe. Like we wanted it to fit into the the landscape a little bit more ESO, rather than, as I said, we didn't really vibe on the marquees and stuff. So each year we try to make it look a little bit more organic, using woods and that kind of thing, just to give it that feel. Because as you said, like that's something that you see a lot of overseas, and it just gives it a nice touch when everything is looking like real organic and imperfect,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, it sounds like everyone is always looking forward to what Esoteric is going to do next, so definitely have a very good reason to be excited for this year's event, and obviously how it's going to evolve in the coming years as well.
Jumping back into some music for a little bit, Metal Groove and Digital Tribe, Life is Melody. This one is out on Upper Records Australia. What a euphoric vibe this one is. Check it.
said to give you a message. You're supposed to take this old rail system up to some kind of satellite delivery rocket. I don't know where it is exactly, and the old guy was so worried about getting out of here alive, he didn't tell me.
You're in the Psyence Lab with James Corbett.
Those last two tracks were such a vibe, weren't they? That one just there, Attic from Mexico, Energy Overdose, out on Expo Records. We're going to jump back in with Billy now, talking a little bit more about his other roles that he's done over the years, and jumping into a bit of a humorous discussion about our experiences with touring big artists. Your festival work in Australia isn't just limited to esoteric. You've obviously mentioned that you're working with Oren Ayer. You have previous experience working with Earthcore. You've worked overseas as well with Tree of Life Festival, Sci-Fi. You've got quite a wealth of festivals under your belt, in working with I guess your marketing, event management, organization, and ticketing as well. So. Yeah,
that's right. It's a bit never-ending, and that's kind of each festival kind of don't really work the same role, so some overlap, but like for instance the arts management stuff, I kind of reserve that just for esoteric because it takes so much energy to do that, that I just keep it to one place, and then I can give that my all, but when it comes to like ticketing and marketing, I can multitask that between different brands very easily, and even other types of event management that are needed. I mean, I've worked gates and that kind of stuff before ticketing so much, and yeah, it's just I've probably done a little bit of every role that you can. I've worked in ops, I've done production, I've been that poor sod who's laying down the dance floors, doing the gaffer tape, like connecting the dance floors,
yes.
And moving tent fences and stuff in earlier days, or even the street distro stuff. Like I've done a bit of every role and kind of found which ones I like best and are better at as well. So
what's the what would you say the most challenging role is? Not necessarily in terms of difficulty, but in terms of endurance and patience.
I'd probably say artist liaison would be pretty challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially probably not even, artist liaison can be challenging, but even more so probably tour managing is even more challenging.
Yeah.
When you're not just behind the computer firing out the emails, which it's all of its work, and there's it's just how it is, right? But when you're tour managing, you're with them with every mood that they're having, and every kind of request that's coming your way, and you kind of gotta kind of got to keep them happy, but on schedule as well, because you're there. You're not just in the planning stage, but you're also there in person, like flying from one place to another, just like they do, right? And I know that well, you'd know this yourself, because I mean we've worked on tours together, like with Infected Mushroom and Juno and Crouch, and you know, there's plenty of others that we haven't even mentioned 100%. There, just on the ones that you and I have worked on together. And that life that people have in their mind about what a music act does, it's actually a lot harder than what they think, until you actually go and do that role, like the tour managing role, or even some kind of touring assistant role. You realize that they're up late, they're up early, they're getting on flights with barely any sleep. Sure, there's a little bit of party along the way, and everyone wants to chat to them, and you know, that's good and bad in its own right, depending who you are, because it can be a little bit overwhelming when everyone knows your name and everyone wants a piece of your time, which you can see they go through non-stop. And you can just see that, like, after 2 weeks of touring, even like doing their tour, you're pretty exhausted when you get back home, and then you know that they're not just going back home, they're going off to do another 20 weeks of that.
Yeah, that's it.
They won't get home for like months.
Yeah. They spend and dealing with jet lag constantly, sitting on a plane for copious lengths of time. Yeah. It's not not glamorous in that regard. Yeah, and I think out of probably all the acts that I've worked with, probably the most professional and easiest and even funniest in a way, it was probably Infected Mushroom. I think they were the easiest to work with. So there you go, one of the biggest acts on the planet. Yeah, in this industry, they're good guys.
Seem to be the easiest to work with.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you a funny story actually. It was actually the tour that you were there for. We were transporting them from the. I think we were taking them from their hotel to the venue, and we were in a minibus, obviously, because it's a band, and we had a trailer on the back, and we'd actually driven into the hotel, the front foyer area, and it was a very tight squeeze. We started driving out and realized that we weren't going to get the trailer out with the van in one swift motion. So we so myself and Adam, we've jumped out and tried to start picking up the trailer. We've called out the concierge and gone, guy, come over here, we need a hand. And so there's like three of us sitting in there trying to lift this trailer, whilst Infected Mushroom is sitting in the bus, sort of like gently rocking back and forth with the motion of the trailer. And we eventually got it. We eventually got there. They were going to get out and give us a hand. They were champions, and we laughed it off, because it was just one of those. I guess it would have been avoidable if we'd actually taken it through there and saw that there's no way this trailer was going to come out the other end, but
And their rider is pretty big as well. Like needs a trailer on the end of like a minibus.
Yeah, and there was no instruments in the trailer. They were already at the. Obviously, it was already set up at the gig, but thank God. Yeah,
I think that was the same one where we were with Infected as well, and I think it might have been after that gig. And this happens, when you just don't know a city. You kind of land in a city same day of the event or the day before the event, and you're kind of learning the city as you go. And we learnt that trailer and minibus was nowhere. There was nowhere to park it.
Oh, that's right.
But everyone's staying in the city. And I remember we had to try and reverse it into this weird spot in an empty car park, and we had to pay off like one of the guards to let us actually park it there. Otherwise we were going to be driving it around all night kind of thing, and couldn't do that because you have to get on a plane to go to the next gig the next day. So yeah, I remember some crazy times dealing with Infected at Adelaide, but it was no issue from their part.
Yeah, they were champions. Yeah. There you have it. I think it's pretty consistent across all industries that anything to do with managing people and emotions and all of that jazz is going to be an epic challenge.
Jumping back into the music here, this is a new release, Mad Max's remix of Silicon Sound, Onida, out on United Beats Records.
Hi, this is Mad Max, and you are in the Psyence Lab.
絶対に残さない。狙いをつけてみた鬼だ。
You're in the Psyence Lab with James Corbett.
a bag full of dirty tricks to play on them.
This was tricky to do. How about this combination?
Come on, tell us how you did it. Then at least tell us where we can learn tricks like that.
That old meanie DJ, who always has a bag full of dirty tricks to play on them.
Nothing but pure fire from those last three tracks right there. Those last two, first you had Huger Boy and Electric Universe with Arambolian Nights out on Sacred Technology, and that one just there is Striker and Space Tribes release Dirty Tricks out on United Beats Records. Jumping back in with Billy now, we talk all things ticketing and the influx of ticket scammers. All right, now look, co-founder of Triniq, tell us a little bit about what inspired you to set up a ticketing platform.
Well, yeah, back probably a decade ago. This is back when In The Mix was a massive thing. I always thought that In The Mix and the forums, they were very... it was just the old way of doing things, and something new was coming, you know. And I tried with a few business partners back then who were not involved in Triniq, and we tried to build like some kind of like social music kind of platform, but the market wasn't ready for that kind of thing at that time. And probably neither were we. We were pretty young, so we learned a lot of lessons from that, and then we parked that project, and I started working a bit more on the marketing and event management side of things, and ended up linking up with Tree of Life. So Yaniv, you know, for those who are Psytrance fans, it's You Reckon, the act from Dakra Records. So yeah, I linked up with him and started doing marketing with Tree of Life and working on their gate for several years, which was over in Turkey for the first couple of years. And then there was then they moved to Greece, which you went over to that one and played. So yeah, and during that time we kind of realized that we had been working on similar kind of ideas with the whole social music platform idea. So we kind of ventured out to kind of just combine our ideas and work together. And you know, very quickly you realize if you try to build like some kind of cool social platform that you have in your mind that's going to be the next big thing, you realize that not just hosting but building these things and the whole thing, it costs a lot of money, right? So you need to work out a way to pay off the expenses, so that you're not just paying it yourself. And for us, we thought that was ticketing, because we knew the frustrations that would happen at gates. We'd worked, literally both of us had worked at multiple gates ourselves, and you know, you see all the problems with trying to scan tickets at events that barely have any internet, or even just trying to use you know, promoter systems where there's hard copy tickets coming back that are supposed to be voided, and all these other issues that come up with ticketing and events, because it can be quite a complicated part of the industry for many people, you know. And we knew how to make it easy, so that's what we did. We went out to try and start solving these problems for different festivals, mainly Psy festivals and electronic music festivals, and that's why it's kind of been a little bit more part of the culture rather than you just see everything on it, you know. So we really wanted to try and solve problems for the industry that we were already in and the people that we knew, and then yeah, slowly over time it's evolved to the point where you know, we've always got several clients going at once, all across the world. I mean, we work with Sci-Fi Festival in the Netherlands as ambassadors for this part of the world, and then obviously we do Esoteric, we do Tree of Life, we do RNA, most of the Deep Space Entertainment's events. We've done Tropical Bloom, and you know, if you've been going to any Psy events, you probably came across us and bought a ticket, and hopefully smoothly. I mean, you can have the odd hiccup occasionally, because these all these web platforms, they're very technical in nature, and you know, it's everything has to go right perfectly for everything to be smooth. So yeah, that's kind of what kind of inspired us to go towards ticketing in Triniq. It was to kind of combine those ideas we'd already been working on, and then also solve some pretty big issues in the industry. And probably our biggest one that we've been happy with the most is how we've been able to make an offline gate with multiple different devices. So you know, when no one has internet, it's a hard thing to do, you know. It took a long time to work that out, and I actually don't think that many ticketing companies, even some of the biggest ones out there, can actually do that right. Like that was one of the reasons why I wanted to have my own a little bit, you know. Yeah, and I guess the next big problem we have to tackle in the industry, which I'm sure everyone will agree, is all these bloody ticket scammers. You know, they are everywhere right now.
Yeah, they've been even more relentless in the last 12 months. You know, they're setting up duplicate events. They're acting as if trying to make people think that some of the events that were actual physical events were then going to be live streams, and they're setting up fake events for those.
And fake pages for those fake events. I mean, probably the worst one that's copped it at the moment is Earth Freak. I mean, you don't have to search on Facebook and filter in the events to see how many there are. There's at least 30 to 50 fake events, and they're owned by like scammers and stuff. And I know it's a bit of a negative topic, but it's good for people to be aware that now Facebook isn't just watch out who you're buying a ticket from, but it's also watch out that the event that you're joining is actually the official page's event. So you actually have to visit the page to know if that's the right event now, because otherwise you could end up losing money. And we're not talking about small amounts. Like these scammers, it's not just a couple of kids around. These are like
it's organised crime.
We've looked into it before. They're syndicate kind of shit, you know. So yeah, and we're talking about tickets. They're worth like $300 to $400 a pop. Like people don't want to like lose that kind of money. So it's better to just do the right thing and
it's always interesting.
Buy from the official source.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you want to make sure you do your research and see what that official source is. And look, it's actually,
or Tixel as well. It's a good option.
Yeah, Tixel. Now Tixel's the platform where you can actually swap tickets. Right, so you sort of sell your ticket
that's right.
on there.
So
it's kind of like car sales, but for tickets.
Yeah, and they do it because they verify everything, and they kind of like the middleman. They'll take the money for the short term, like, and then after the gig, they'll give it to the seller once everything is all above board, you know. And that way, it's because they have direct connections into all these ticketing platforms, including ours. They can actually verify a ticket properly. I mean, if you're just swapping tickets between your actual friend, you just come straight to the like ticketing platform you bought them from. So for us, you can do it online for much cheaper. But if you're looking for the safety and stuff like of buying randomly or selling randomly, that's the way to do it. You use Tixel or something like that. But as I said, it's a problem we've been looking at a lot that people have to be aware about when they're buying. We're probably going to tighten that up a little bit more over the next year, and not just use a third party, but come up with a solution that's actually going to solve a real bad problem that's only becoming worse.
Yeah, well, it would be really nice if someone like, I don't know, Facebook was actually able to help with that. You see Facebook shutting down. I know artists who've had their accounts shut down because someone's claimed that they're actually fake when they're actually a real person, and yet you try and report some of these pages which are clearly ticket scalpers or even other stuff that's not really should be up to community standards. And no, they're fine. No, they get to stay. They get to stay in.
Well, I know what you mean, and it like once you just want to pull your hair out a little bit. And part of my marketing is that I've been in an official Facebook advertising agency since 2010 or something. So when I was trained in Facebook marketing, I was trained by Facebook themselves. Probably before they started making it very mainstream, so you're getting good people teaching you how to do it right. And so I've got access to speak to Facebook through my account properly, and I spoke to them about this issue that we're talking about with scammers and duplicate pages and all that kind of stuff, and they didn't want to hear a bar of it this year. So there's going to be no help from Facebook about this.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I've tried. So yeah.
All right, well, yeah.
Everyone has to look out for themselves a little bit on that front, and just listen to what the main organiser's saying. Follow the instructions. Always buy from direct.
Yeah, and check who the host is of the event page. Follow that link.
Yeah, definitely.
And making sure it's not a URL. Follow the host to the page that's actually created the event page to double check, is this legit? Is this actually the esoteric? Is this the Earth frequency or whatever the festival is that you're going to? crazy times. All right, so yeah, well, look, we've covered a lot of ground today. Thank you for joining me on the show. Wealth of knowledge, wealth of experience. We could talk for days. You know, we could pretty much set up the Billy and James show. So maybe it's an idea. We'll park that as a side project.
Maybe we'll just set up a small side workshop at Esoteric where you can just hear us ramble for a couple of days and
that's an art installation on itself, isn't it?
yeah. So,
but
you have to have some patience, I guess.
Yes. No, I think we're pretty interesting. All right, Billy, thank you for coming on the show. Pleasure as always. Looking forward to actually having a boogie, probably at Esoteric, if not at some place in Melbourne beforehand.
Yep, sounds good. All right, well, I'll talk to you soon, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for having us on.
Jumping back into the music now. This one here is my pick of the month, or should I say 2 months, since this show is bi-monthly. Mad Tribe's Alien Sex Slave, out on United Beats Records. It has aliens, it has sex. They're two of my favorite things. So enjoy.
Mind and stimulated him to the point of exhaustion. In fact, he claims that the aliens made him their sex slave. Disturbing detail about how the aliens got into his head. The aliens' sex slave. detail. In fact, he claims the aliens made him their sex slave, 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 sex slave.
You're in the Psyence Lab with James Corbett.
The aliens' sex slave.
man thing, you can't fuck with us.
Tune there from another Melbourne producer, Foul Owl. That one's called Unity, out on Infinity Tunes. That release was storming the Beatport charts, and let me tell you, he is definitely someone to be watching out for. Such a crisp, full-on sound there. Coming up next, a special guest, Nikki S jumps in the Psyence Lab with me to have a bit of a discussion on all things going on in her world, pretty much. Let's dive in. Nikki, welcome to the Psyence Lab. How are you going over there in London?
Hey, thank you for having me on. Yeah, going pretty well, thanks, all things considered.
I imagine it's pretty hectic over there. I mean, obviously, we've all been watching the news and seeing what's happening. Like, how's it been treating your world?
Well, yeah, I mean, the news likes to blow things out of proportion as normal. I think we've been named Plague Island is what I've heard from my family who's back home in Oz. That's what we're not actually aware of that term here in the UK, but
yeah, right.
Yeah, from what my family have told me, I'm officially on Plague Island. But yeah, no, life's not actually that bad over here. We've got all the social restrictions and things like that, but we haven't had lockdown anywhere near as severe as some other countries around the world, like Spain or even in Melbourne. We've still had some sort of normal life with outdoors and that sort of thing. So it's not too bad, but unfortunately, no clubs, no festivals for a little while. But we are starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess, look, it's been interesting seeing how each country has handled this very differently and how, I guess our perspective, like how we feel that we've been treated throughout the, I guess the restrictions, and especially when we're talking about music industry, it's been quite different. Some countries have been able to sort of flow on pretty normal, and others who, like Australia, hasn't been as affected by the COVID, have had really strict restrictions, but it's kind of a hot topic on as to whether that's a good thing or overkill, and probably a debate we're not going to get into on this show. I think it's too controversial.
Pros and cons, swings and roundabouts, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess, look, the obvious question is, you've had more downtime in the last year. They're pretty much exactly a year, actually. So
just coming up to it.
Yeah, so you've had less gigs going around the world. You haven't been to Australia as much, your original home country, and how has that basically affected you in terms of the studio and the music persona of Nikki?
Well, I guess like you say, prior to lockdown and prior to all this, every weekend I was gigging. I was traveling around Europe, traveling much further afield, Asia and so on, and out to Australia. And that's all come to a grinding halt. I was supposed to be out in Australia last October for Mushroom Valley, which I have been looking forward to for years. That's up on the Whitsunday Island. So unfortunately, that's been postponed until Australia reopens its borders. And I usually take my, double up my gigs down under with seeing my family. So it's been a real shame that I haven't been able to do that. But it's really funny you should mention, how does it affect your music and all that sort of stuff. Because I thought that, oh wow, now that I'm not gigging every weekend, I'll actually get some time to get back in the studio, do a lot more productions and things like that. And and actually I've only really realized throughout all this just how much my inspiration comes from gigs. So I'm a clubber first and foremost. I fell in love with the music a very long time ago. I won't say when because I'll give away how old I really am. So I'm a clubber first and foremost, and then I fell into running events, big events in London. So I see myself as a clubber and a promoter, and then I started DJing, and then I started producing off the back of that. And I guess I always get on the dance floor at parties still. When I get to play festivals around the world, you'll always find me on the dance floor. It's where my inspiration comes from, seeing how people move and react and that sort of thing. And I am missing that. And I've really realised how much that does impact my production and my motivation, enthusiasm, and inspiration and all those sorts of things. So I can't wait to get back on the dance floor or to get back on the decks in front of real people again.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it really is about that energy transfer, isn't it? You're connecting. Absolutely. Like, when you're playing, obviously, there's that energy exchange between you and the dance floor. And when you do have the ability to be on the dance floor, you're amongst that energy, and you're really sort of experiencing what the dance floor resonates with when, you've got like booming bass lines and massive leads coming out of a big sound system, and getting too excited even just saying that.
I know. Yeah, I mean, it is different feeling the music as opposed to just listening to it. But I guess throughout this lockdown I have done a lot of live streams, which strangely enough you can actually connect with a huge amount of people at once. So you did get a bit of feedback from that, and I really did enjoy doing those. And I found that I hit the studio pretty hard after every live stream I did, because I got that vibe again. And I did get to do a couple of real gigs in the last year, which is good. So like you said, some countries were hit harder than others. One of the countries that had a pretty liberal approach to this was Sweden. So I did actually get to play a festival in Sweden over the summer, which was fantastic. And life was just normal there, which was really nice. And I did do an illegal forest party, but that was before they started bringing out the £10,000 fines. So
yeah. I don't know about any illegal parties at all. Like, I'm completely out of the loop. Cough.
We tend cough. Cough, not COVID. So I guess the UK has, and London in particular, has always had its element of underground warehouse squat parties, illegal parties. So that's just normal.
Well, it's kind of where the whole sound actually evolved from anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
Massively. We basically evolved from raves and illegal warehouse parties, and it wasn't popular in nightclubs.
No. So I guess if you're going way back to the 90s, you got your 90s raves, Amnesia House and things like that. That rave culture out in the field, or underneath motorway flyovers and stuff like that. A lot of that that spirit still remains in London and in the UK, but it's obviously diversified into different genres over the last 20, 30 years. And you'll see, drum and bass parties, you'll see techno parties, and of course psychedelic parties as well. It's all stemmed from that.
Yeah, which is, and I guess it's always been a hot topic in terms of, why should basically just dancing and, listening to music be illegal? Like, why is that policed so much? I can understand, the safety aspect in terms of, some of the things that people get up to at parties, but, it's not really any different to whether it's a legal party or an illegal party, to be honest. Like, people can still do the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, in the UK, the UK police are very, very good. I have to admit, coming from Australia, where I'd say the police are quite heavy-handed, and having travelled around the world and seeing how, the law responds in different situations, the UK police are pretty good and they're pretty open-minded. Rave culture has been around for decades now, and really their primary concern is health and safety. I've seen them turn up to various parties. You're talking, thousands of people in a field or thousands of people in a warehouse, that sort of thing. And they really are just there to check that there is health and safety. And if it is, they'll allow you to continue, which is great.
Yeah. I mean, look, to be fair, I think, I've been at enough events here in Australia where, there has been police arrive at an event and they sort of look around and they see that everyone's behaving themselves and they do just say, look, all good. Have a good night, see you later. I think as long as the general consistency seems to be that as long as there's not too many people there, as long as people aren't behaving really loose, then they're going to just use their judgment and say, look, all right, just be safe and enjoy yourselves and, all good. Obviously, it depends on on the police that you get. Maybe even what state you're in as well. Like, and by state, I mean not your state of intoxication, New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia.
Yeah.
So,
no, I remember from when I used to live back there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, it's been pretty crazy for Australia. everyone's eager to get on the dance floor, and I guess the restrictions are pretty inconsistent in terms of, one state is doing this, which Victoria's been probably the worst hit with COVID, but yet they're the first state to actually get back dancing to full capacity, with the exception of WA, who were just pretty much all good from the get-go because they sorted their stuff out pretty early. And then you have Queensland, New South Wales and SA, who are all just got their own idea on how they want to handle things. And yeah, I guess we're seeing that around the world as well. And the sad thing is that this has such an impact, not just within Australia, but obviously globally. We're not getting artists from other countries to be able to fly over here. So, you've got a big gap in your touring schedule. There's people who rely on their income from this traveling. So,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're just starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel over here. The UK government's just announced that they aim to have no social restrictions come the end of June. They've got a 4-step plan, all those sorts of things, and our vaccine's rolling out pretty well, which means that we're now starting to see festivals and party organisers starting to re-announce their lineups. But a lot of the time, I know I do an annual boat party over here at the end of June every year, and I know we're keeping it to a UK lineup. I mean, we're lucky that we've got an enormous selection of artists to choose from in the UK. But because we just don't know what travel restrictions there are going to be closer to the time, because that is changing, daily as to which countries are allowed to come in, which countries aren't, which countries are safe. But I mean, I'd imagine that by midsummer, travel throughout Europe will be relatively moving towards normal, I suppose. I've got quite a few European festival dates in the diary, and they're all looking quite promising, but I guess it's embracing ambiguity and uncertainty and things like that at the moment, and just having to be flexible.
Yeah, well, that's good. So I guess, look, so you've got something to look forward to this year. You've got gigs in the pipeline. Yeah. So what else do you have planned for this year?
So bit more studio work. I need to actually get cracking now that lockdown's coming to an end. I need to make up for some lost time and get some tunes finished off. So I've got quite a few bubbling away. I've been, I guess, pottering in the studio, making just twisted sounds, things like that, but not being productive. So I've got quite a few tracks on the go, been trying to evolve my sound and just sort of move it a bit forward. And trying to finish off a track for the next United Beats release, which is Party Smart 5. So I need to pull my finger out, to coin a phrase, and crack on with that. Yeah, so there'll be quite a bit of that going on, and I guess it's just trying to return to a more sort of balanced, normal life. The past year has given me an opportunity to work on my health. After many years of, let's say, living the good life, lack of sleep, maybe partying a little bit too much. I'm actually getting sleep now. It's amazing. I didn't realize how good it was. And so it's just, I guess, trying to retain some of that balance moving forward.
Is that why you got a dog? You got a dog to keep you in check?
I did. So I guess back in Australia, my family have got a lot of dogs, and I grew up on a farm actually. And living in London, I've never been able to have pets, and I just thought, I'm locked down at home. All my neighbours have got these cute little fluffy dogs, and my boyfriend just wound me up enough to get a fluffy dog. And so I got this thing, and I had no idea what a time waster it was. I'm definitely not lonely or bored.
No, you've just always got entertainment. Yeah, you're like, look at she's sleeping.
Oh, look at her face, she's so cute. Yeah, she's such a distraction. She has definitely helped keep me in check and get me outside, get me away from my computer and away from my desk, and get me walking and doing healthier things.
Yeah, no, that's good. Animals are really good for that. They really are.
Yeah.
This is not a crap game.
Animals are such amazing creatures. I always say this, dogs are the best people. Jumping into a quick track here to break up the interview, we have Mechanica and Aja's new release on United Beats Records, Futurism.
Citizen of the 21st century. This is not a crap game. Zero to 100%. Simulation. Citizen of the 21st century.
This is Mechanica and you're in the Psyence Lab with James Corbett.
Now, you mentioned you're evolving your sound. Like, is there any little inside scoop we can have to like where you visualize your direction being with your sound?
So, I'd like to make it more psychedelic. And I've always sort of produced around 140, 142 BPM. I mean, that's where I like to play. I like to start my sets, I love doing those sets that are, daytime into night or before, the headliners at these festivals and things like that. And so I do like that, sort of, I guess, full on prog into full on sort of bordering nighttime music. So it's just, I guess it's evolving the sound a little bit more direction. I'm considering going to 145. I've done a couple of tracks at 145. It feels a little bit fast some days when you're in the studio and you've just woken up and it's like 9 a.m. 145 makes sense at 9 p.m. but maybe not always at 9 a.m. So it's just, I guess it's just sort of maybe pushing it slightly more psychedelic. But it's really hard with Psytrance because you need to have that element of trance in there and that element of melody and euphoria in there, but it's really hard to get that balance of not being too trancey, but having some element of it in there, but keeping it psychedelic, but not just sounding like, I don't know, crickets and weird alien sounds. You know, so it's just trying to have that nice balance and moving towards that. I mean, there's some artists that are really inspiring me at the moment. They're slightly deeper and darker in their sound. As far as, you know, full-on psychedelic goes, you know, people like Zephyrus Kane, and I mean Shiva Tree. I've been playing a lot of their stuff lately. It's just immaculately produced, very, very nice. It's a little bit dirtier, in that sort of still in that full-on psychedelic spectrum.
Yeah, well, that all sounds very, very delicious, if I can say.
Yeah,
definitely love the slightly faster BPM, but I do definitely hear what you're saying when you sort of go having that fine balance between being too psychedelic, where it sort of sounds, you know, like you're saying, just crickets and stuff. Where to me, it just sounds like a whole heap of noise going on all at once, and you're just like I love to have the clarity, you know. I love it when it's deep and psychedelic and you've got like a vortexy, trancey sort of sound, but you've got a distinctive bass line as well. It just turns me on so much.
I love it. Excellent.
It's probably why when we're playing, we sort of like unconsciously thrust into the decks, because it's kind of sexual.
Yeah, and I'm always pulling the bass face, and so.
Yes.
But you got to have good bass. It's all about the bass.
It is, and you know that's you know, I guess a good point on its own. I mean, I think the way psytrance has evolved over the years, you know, you think about where it's come from in its, you know, Goa origins, where, you know, the bass line and the melody were sort of all very intertwined into the same sort of spectrum, whereas, you know, now we have so much, you know, you need to have a clear and obvious bass line. You don't need to in all scenarios. There's obviously people who love the stuff that isn't like that, but, you know, the more well appreciated sounds are definitely the stuff with the clear punchy bass lines, and, you know, the melodies that are separate to that almost. Just with a really crisp, compressed sound.
Because I think you can get a lot of energy from the bass. It drives the track, but it also gives it the groove and the playfulness as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, well said. So, I guess with that said, so you've got a reasonable year ahead of you. You've got some gigs to look forward to. You've got some tunes coming out. You know, I guess, you know, outside of that, you know, I guess how do you feel the year is going to look next year in 2022? Like, what do you think, you know, with, I guess, the changes of the world, do you think we're going to see a different way of partying? Do you think we're going to be going back to normal? Like, what are your thoughts?
I think certainly with the track that Europe is on, I think by 2022 we'll be pretty much back to normal. You know, like I said, the vaccine rollout is going pretty well, and the big festival organisers are well on track to getting things up and going by the end of the summer. So, you know, Airbeat playing, well, the end of mid-June, I think it is, or no, mid-July is Airbeat 1 in Germany. It's massive. It's just waiting on the yay or nay from that. Big festival, Indian Spirit. Like, Indian Spirit should definitely be going ahead. That's at the end of the summer, last weekend of August. And actually that weekend, I think I've got festivals in the UK, Germany and Sweden that weekend, and they're all pretty positive that's going to go ahead. So I'd say by the end of the summer, we're starting to be getting back to normal. Maybe not the same sort of capacities or volumes as previous years, but I think by 2022, when the vaccine's widespread, we'll be seeing normal. We're not seeing a lot of fear amongst people that are going to parties, that like, oh my God, I don't want to be close to other people. You know, hopefully we won't see that. But what we're seeing, and what I see, like, you know, on social media and things like that, is most people are just over this. They just want to get back to normal. It's sort of like, screw it, let's get back out there. So we could see, you know, things boom even more. You know, after every sort of either recession or oppression or something like that, we tend to see people want to let loose. They have that desire to unleash, both creatively and, you know, in a party hedonistic way. And and I'd imagine we will see a similar thing. People just, you know, wanting to live life, to travel, to have experiences, to be with their friends. We've all had a chance to reevaluate things. We may not do it every weekend like what we used to, because people evaluate their lives, and you know, you're seeing a lot of people make healthier or more balanced decisions. I don't know, but we're definitely going to be seeing. I think we'll be seeing people just wanting to let loose and just live life and be free after all of this.
Yeah, kind of like I think I said this with Menog on the last episode. A bit of a renaissance. A renaissance 2.0. You know, there'll be parties and orgies everywhere.
Yeah, definitely.
Or whatever you're into.
Definitely. So it should be good. So 2022, I think, you know, should be a pretty good year. Yeah, bring it on. Now, speaking of bringing things on, we're about to jump into your guest mix. Which, yes, it is fantastic. It's very delicious. Do you want to give us a bit of an insight into what you had planned, what we can expect to hear? Right, so what I've got lined up, so I guess the opening track that I've got for you today is a new one that's bang out on United Beats. It's Save the Robot. It's called Freaks. It's proper fat, proper psychedelic. Absolute it's a real party tune. So I've got a bit of that. I've got a few of my tracks in there in the mix. So I've got my Experts track, which came out on Alchemy Records. It's been out for a little while, but it's still absolutely fat. Still just like tears the dance floor apart. When I get a lot of requests for that one. Let me see, what else have I got in there? I've probably got a bit of Show Me Your Face, which was also on United Beats. That was released, I had come out during lockdown actually. That was really good. You know, when I did the promo for that, I had all of my mates send videos of them dancing at home to it, and did this.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, did this wicked video collage of like people in isolation joining together and how music joins you together. So that was a real lot of fun. And then some of my favorite tracks that I've actually got on there, I've got a couple of favorites on there that I've been playing for a little while, but I figured, you know, we're locked down, let's just keep it uplifting. So I've got on there, you know, Sonic Species, Mad Max, Crystal Vision. It's been one of my favorite tracks for the past year. You know, Avalon Tristan, We Are Psychedelic, that came out on Avalon's last album, which was just an absolutely cracking album. Avalon always delivers. And then I've got a couple of Shiva Tree tracks on there. One's Shiva Tree Affected. Oh my God. I heard Lucas play this recently, shall we say. And it just blew my mind. It is just intergalactic, just awesomeness, and literally just makes me buzz every time I play it. It is just incredible. So I've got a bit of that in there. The new remix by Imagine Mars of Earth Space Burning Noise, To the Moon. It is just pure psychedelic euphoricness. And actually finishing off the mix, I have Zephyrus Kane, Jungle Honey. And this has been my favorite tune of the past year. So,
okay.
Yeah, big call.
Big call.
So, literally, I remember getting the promo through for this. So it came out on Nano Records, got the promo through, and it delivers everything that I've ever wanted in a psychedelic track. It is dirty, it is nasty, it is immaculately produced, it is uplifting, it is euphoric, it is just incredible. And every time I have heard this over the past year, it has just made me happy. It's made me smile. And I remember actually being out in Goa this time last year, actually, before this craziness kicked off. It was only just starting to kick off. And I was in Goa, and I remember hearing Vince Virtual Light dropping it at UV Bar. So it's a party on the beach. And oh man, it just blew my mind, and I just had to hunt it down and got a hold of it. And literally, it's just made me smile ever since. So this track really got me through 2020.
Well, I think that's a serious review there.
So, well, look, it absolutely sounds like you've got a stash of pure weapons in the upcoming mix. So I guess we will stop talking and let people actually enjoy what you've got prepared for us. Thank you so much for coming onto the show. It's good to chat to you again, and I really look forward to being on a dance floor and sharing a stage with you sometime in the next year.
Hopefully very soon. Yeah. Hopefully soon. Can't wait.
Absolutely. Thanks, Nikki. Absolute legend. Let's dive into Nikki S's guest mix. Here we go.
Thank you.
We didn't lie to you, folks. We told you we had living, breathing monstrosity. You laughed at them, shuddered at them, and yet you might be even as they are. They did not ask to be brought into the world, but into the world they came. We are a bunch of freaks.
you're feeling the vibes. This is Nikki S, and you are listening to the Psyence Lab with James Corbett.
Alright, well, check this out.
Psyence Lab with James Corbett.
What a froth-worthy guest mix that was from the legendary Nikki S. So much respect for Nikki. She is definitely one of the good eggs of the industry. From the first moments that we actually booked her for a gig, she basically became a good friend, helped hook up some beautiful gigs in the UK, and has been a solid support of anything that I've done in recent years, including my recently joining the United Beats family as a label DJ. So full support and much love for Nikki. Hope you enjoyed the show. Lots to talk about there. Hopefully it was insightful. Hopefully we enjoyed the tunes, and I look forward to seeing you in another 2 months. Have fun and be kind to one another.